Welcome to my channel. So in this video we're going to be talking about angles on parallel lines. So parallel lines, these are two vertical lines. They can be vertical, they can be horizontal, but these lines, they do not meet. So in this case I'm going to concentrate on what? On two lines that will never meet. Right, so my lines are vertical, are horizontal. Right, so these lines, I'm saying that they will never meet. As you can see, that there is no way that these lines will meet no matter how long they are. So with these lines, if I draw a line that cuts across these two lines, that line, we call it a what? A transversal line. So a transversal line is a line that cuts two parallel lines, or that cuts parallel lines. You can say that again. You can say it doesn't necessarily have to be two. As long as it's cutting parallel lines, it's called a what? A transversal line. All right. So on this line, on this diagram, we're going to come up with special angles that we want to discuss. Right, so I've named my angles there. If you notice, if you're following from the previous videos, we're talking about straight angles. If you notice, H and G are on straight angles. E and H, F and G, D and C, A and B, A and D, B and C, they are forming what we call straight angles. Again, we can also see something familiar that we also learned about. What is that? Yes, vertically opposite angles. So now we have vertically opposite angles. For example, E is opposite G and H is opposite F. What did we say about vertically opposite angles? Exactly. We say that vertically opposite angles are what? Are equal. Whereas, what did we say about straight angles? Yeah, you got it right. We say that straight angles, they what? They add up to 180 degrees. Okay, right. But in this case, we're going to be talking about what you call corresponding and what? And the alternate angles. Right. Corresponding angles, these are angles which are, you find that they will be on the corresponding positions, like they are on the same, they are on the same side of the position, same side, right? And like the properties in where they are positioned, they are almost the same. Like if you check, we have the first line there, which is on top and the line below. If you notice, angle H is on top of our first line. Maybe let me call it line X and the other line Y. And it is on the left side of the transversal line. And then let's go to line Y. Which other angle is on the top of line Y and is on the left side of the transversal line? Right. So that angle is what? Is D. D is on top of line Y and H is on top of what? Of line X. So that is why H and D are what? Are corresponding angles. Okay, because they are all on what? They are on the same side of the transversal line. 1. 2, they are all on top of our parallel lines. So therefore, they are corresponding. So that is why we say that corresponding angles in parallel lines are equal. That is our first property. So we're saying that H and D are corresponding angles. Okay, right. We have some more angles which are corresponding to each other. Right, maybe let me just highlight using diagram colors. Right, so H and D, they are corresponding to each other. Okay, right. Which other angles are corresponding to each other? All right, since we are concentrating on the left side of the transversal line, let's look at angle E. What's happening with angle E? Angle E is on the left side. Which other angle is on the left side? Besides D, it's angle A. Angle E is on the left side and it's below line X. Angle A is on the left side and it's below line Y. So E and A are also what? Corresponding angles. Right. So if you measure these angles, you will notice that these angles are what? Are equal to each other. You notice that they're equal to each other. So we're saying that corresponding angles are equal to each other. Let's write that down. Let's write that one down. Corresponding angles are equal. Right, that is very important. Right, since we're concentrating on the left hand side, now I want to concentrate on the right hand side. Okay, so what is happening there on the right hand side? On the right hand side, we have angle F, G, B, and C. Right, so from following the line of thought that I've introduced, and I'd say that now we're concentrating on the right hand side. So let's look at angle G. Angle G is above line X and is on the right. Which other angle is above the other parallel line, which is Y? Right. Line angle C. So we're saying that C and G are corresponding angles. Okay. Right. Which other angles are corresponding? Let's use the same colors. C and G are corresponding angles. The other angles which are corresponding to each other are F and B. I think now you can see what's happening, what we're talking about, right? F and B. So F and B are corresponding to each other. F and B are corresponding angles. So meaning that these angles which are corresponding to each other, they will be equal to each other. So you know, with the maths, we come up with these abbreviations or these simple ways to understand our subject, right? To make it easy for all of us, because there are different ways of learning, right? So we usually call corresponding angles as, let me put in brackets, F angles. Because if you notice, F and B, they are forming an F like that. And is it F is right there inside and B is right there inside? They are forming what? An F. So that's why they are what? They're equal to each other. Right. Even if you notice, if you look at H and D, but the F will now be facing the other direction. Okay, H and D. So D there, H and D. Right. Okay, I think it's clear. Right. Let's move on to what we call alternate angles. So on this very diagram, we have what we call alternate angles. Okay, right. Let me quickly erase, or maybe let me actually draw another diagram so that, but it will be having the same information. So now I want to look at what we call alternate angles. So I'm going to draw my two parallel lines and the transversal line there. Okay, so these lines are parallel to each other. Okay, so remember, the lines have to be parallel to each other. Let's get that one correct. Not just any lines. The lines have to be parallel to each other for these properties to be true. Okay, right. So let's go to what we call alternate angles. So alternate angles. Remember last time I said that corresponding angles are also called F angles. Huh? So alternate angles in brackets Z angles. Right. So with alternate angles, right, let me name my angles A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So on the same diagram, we're going to indicate which angles are alternate, which angles are forming in Z, in short. The thing with alternate angles is they're alternate. If the other one is on the left hand side, the other one will be on the right hand side. Okay, but the other one will be concentrating on the line on top, the other one will be concentrating on the line below. Okay, for example, angle E is equal to angle C. Okay, right. So E and C are Z angles. I'll just use Z because Z means it's a shortcut for alternate angles. Okay, right. Angle E and C are what? Are Z angles. Because they are forming a Z, they are forming a what? A zigzag pattern. Right. We have another angle. We have other angles which are forming a Z there. If you notice, maybe let me use a zigzag like this one, like that. Right. The difference here is the Z has somehow flipped. It has flipped. Okay. So we are saying that angle F, right, is forming a zigzag with what? Angle D. I want to get on that one. Right. So we're saying that angle F and D are Z angles. Right. So that's it on Z angles and F angles. Z angles are straightforward. They are not as many as compared to F angles. Right. Let's go on and look at what we call I'd forgotten to mention this one. Let's look at what we call allied angles. Allied angles are other angles which are also formed on parallel lines. Allied angles, the difference with allied angles is that, or we call them allied angles or co-interior angles. Co-interior angles. Right. So what do you know about allied angles and co-interior angles? Please go to the comment section and reply on what you know about allied angles or co-interior angles. And then we are going to discuss about that on our next video. Please don't forget to comment, to subscribe, and to share the video. Have a lovely day.